Okay, in today's quick take, we're talking about sales, and sales. Critical component of any business, really, really important. We're going through 3 critical elements of sales and how to deploy sales into your company to build and scale. Number 1, understanding sales and how it integrates into the business organically, right? The second thing is I want to talk about nuances. So these are nuances with humans and nuances with processes. Last thing is we're going to go through support team framework. Okay, so the first thing, understanding how sales integrates into the business, right? Whether you've got a sales team, direct sales team, in the office, on the phones, business development team, connecting online, leads inbound, however you do it, it's all the same thing. So understanding sales and how it integrates means this. How does a sale come into your business and how does it move through the system organically? So let me talk about my experience. I'm in the sales team this week. I'm doing a little bit of work. And by the way, don't be above sales, right? I think it's a critical component to business. We all know this, we don't want to talk about it, but it is. Why? Because it creates cash flow. And cash flow is the blood, sustainability, and life of any company, right? So I always stay pretty connected to it. I like sales. I'm a bit of a sales guy, I admit it. And it's really good to hang out. Here's what I'm learning as a founder inside the sales team this week, is I'm really connecting to the customer. I'm really starting to understand our customer in 2024. I think they're different than they were in 2020, 2021, 2022. So it's really good for me to help make good decisions on the business if I understand the customer better. How does it integrate? Let me get back to organics, right? Human organics in terms of process for your customer. So services from the start all the way through to the end are critical to understand. You have to get that right. So write it down, map it out. It's called workflow, by the way. And then integrating that, so when you speak to the customer, you bring the customer on board, they pay you all this money. If you're selling high ticket or low ticket, they're still giving you money out of their pocket, out of their family budget. Respect that. I think it's critical. And then what happens is the sales team normally just offload them somewhere else. It's normally an operations team. And if there's no congruency between those two departments, one or two things will happen. They're going to ask for a refund. They're going to be unhappy with you if there's no congruency or synergy in that journey. So if the salesperson's saying X, the operations team need to deliver on that. 100%, that's so critical. So that's what I mean in terms of understanding how it integrates inside your business organically to other people and other visions inside your business. By the way, operations don't care about sales. They don't. They never have. They never will. It's very hard to have a team, a management team, to make them integrate. I think a sales manager should be managing both teams, by the way. Marketing, sales, and operations. So a sales director, and then you might have a team leader for each of those different divisions. So the definition of what you're trying to achieve in terms of policy and process systems has that congruency and that synergy. Number 2, nuances. Critical to understand nuances inside your team. So I'm talking about 2 parts. I'm talking about humans and I'm talking about systems. What's going on in the team? This week I've been in our sales team, hanging out with the sales team, right? So about 10 in that team. I've been speaking to them, engaging with them, asking them how they are, what sort of training they need. And what I realized, for example, is this sales agent, Tom, and this sales agent, Lisa, are 2 completely different people. And they have different things going on in their life. One's married with 2 children. The other one's not married with no children, but has a girlfriend, right? And each of them have these things going on in their life, right? And I can tell because I can see it on their face. So what I mean by nuances in terms of people inside your team, support them, understand if they're going through a rough day. So when they come into the office and they sit at their desk, you might walk up to them and say a simple thing, hey, how are you going today? You okay? You look like you're a little bit off. You look like you're a little bit upset. Take them for a walk, grab them a coffee, whatever you need to do, but support them. Because if their frame is not correct, if their state of mind is off and they're feeling negative, they're going to burn a whole bunch of deals and clients that day. So you got to quickly pull them out of it. I always say, can you get over something quickly, right? The greatest gift I can give to my kids would be the ability to resolve issues fast. So if something hits you, someone says something to you that upsets you, how fast can you get over it? Will you carry it around with you for a day, maybe a week? Or can you get over it in 10 seconds? Can you get over it in 5 seconds? You need to be that person for your team. If you're a sales manager, a leader, a founder, or whatever you are, and you're in a position of authority and influence, you need to do that for your team. For good or for worse, right? You employed them, you put them there, so you need to be sincere to that application, right? So nuances, please, that's so critical, one of the most important things. The second thing is nuances around tools and resources. So scripting. Are your sales team following the script? How do you know that? Well, you need a framework to support that. You need to listen to calls. You need to ask them, you need to coach them. And when you do that, those nuances will start to rise to the surface and then you can attack one. You can attack them if you need to, right? So these are things that they should be doing, but you don't see it because you're not connected to the first component, which is, are you connected to your team? Are you talking to your humans to understand how they're feeling and what their problems are? They will tell you all their problems, they will. And here's what normally happens. When they're succeeding, it's all of them, right? They're the best in the world at sales. When they're failing, it's your fault. It always works like that. So it's the lead, it's the government, it's the economy, it's the sales manager, it's the lack of training. But as soon as they become successful, man, I'm the greatest sales guy on the planet. That's just who they are. Expect that, right? But if you provide the right frameworks for them and the right systems for them and the right training for them, they can be successful. Obviously, you'll get to a point where if you provide all the training, all the tools, all the systems, all the policies, and they still can't get there, you know what you have to do. Okay, number 3, supportive framework. No team can operate without framework. No sales team can operate without framework. No operational team can operate without framework. Let me give you an indication of what I mean by that. If I have 10 sales agents and I don't provide them with the script and the framework to deliver that communication to the client, they're all going to do it differently, every single one of them. And what happens is when you go to measure the data's inconsistent because they're not all doing the same thing. How do you know what to fix if they all do different things on the call, right? So I'm talking about an outbound sales team on the phone right now. You can move this into direct sales or whatever you want. I guess the benchmark is the same in different models and formats. So I'm trying to figure out, how do I bring everybody back into the framework? Well, very difficult when they're not on it. So it's critical that when you're recruiting and bringing people in, that you bring them in through the framework and you induct them and you train them properly. It's so critical to get that right, because if you don't, they're all going to be doing their own thing, and that'll never work. It may work in the short term, and there may be seasonality where you have good months and bad months, and you bring them in on a good month. You won't know if they're any good because their sales might be relatively positive, but when you're in seasonality, you're in an off month or an off quarter where it's naturally and organically low, they'll get hit pretty big, right? So consider the framework, so critical. So you've got sales scripting framework, you've got policy, which is also framework. So that's, you have to call your new inbound leads within 24 hours. If you don't, what happens is conversion rate drops by 33% if you do it within 48 hours. So you need to measure all that stuff, get all the data right, and then start to deliver frameworks around that. You need to tell them what that is, and you need to write it into a document. They need to review it. It's part of the induction process. And then you can roll it out. Right? And that means everybody in the team, the whole 10 people inside my team, I'm starting to pull them back because they've started chasing unicorns and wandering through the forest at the moment. But when I get them back, you just need to keep them there. So the second part of supportive framework is, how do I keep them there? It's ongoing training. So just remember that, right? So critical to get that right. Now you put the 3 of those together and you can build relatively good sales teams who generate revenue with consistency. The problem with sales teams is that they become inconsistent because of those. Look, they're not understanding how to integrate. The manager's not understanding how to integrate. The manager's not connected to the team. There's no framework and there's no training. Hope that helps. Sales, so critical for the business. It is the lifeblood of any company and it generates cash flow. Please give it the attention it needs. I hope you got something out of that.